Hey everyone, just wanted to give a quick overview of what Gaintrust is all about. We're a fitness community headed by coaches, including myself, who have over a decade of experience in the gym. We provide workouts, demos, and a community of lifters to root each other on. It's a great time, and I hope you check it out. Without further ado, let's get to the podcast. What's up, buddy?
Can you hear me okay?
I hear you just fine. Yep.
All right, cool.
So let me just quickly introduce everybody to you. So Kevin, I went to school. Kevin, we went to high school together, and he was that younger kid that was more jacked than anybody else in school, and just made you like feel just like, wait, how does he achieve the muscle mass of a 30-year-old at fucking like 13? So he was that guy. I didn't talk to him much in high school. We had similar friend groups, but we're not going to talk about high school. Kevin has done some pretty amazing things since high school. Kevin, you're 28, right? 28?
30, but
30. Not a big difference. Yeah. Well, Kevin, some of the most amazing things I've ever seen my friend Kevin do is he was featured on Hot Ones for his hot sauce bay. Sauce Bay is probably one of my favorite hot sauces. Every friend I show it to, my brother, they always steal my bottles. I really love his stuff. But the show Hot Ones is a YouTube channel where all the celebrities try different hot sauces, and they go up in the Scoville level. And Kevin's was somewhere in the middle. It's pretty mild, but it's gotten hotter over the years. I think there's a hotter sauce, right, Kevin?
Yeah. That one's a little bit past the middle, but the first one's definitely mild.
Yeah. But I like the first one's like one of my favorite ones. But Kevin was recently featured on Forbes as one of the 1,000 people and entrepreneurs to look out for in 2021. This was very recently. As I joke with Kevin, I say there's Kevin before Forbes and Kevin after Forbes. He's a totally different guy. He doesn't want to be seen with you out in public.
I'm living the game. Nothing's changed.
But all this aside, Kevin is actually just a guy who's been super into fitness ever since I've known him or known of him. There was also a mic pre-lifting with Kevin and a mic after lifting with Kevin. Before lifting with Kevin, I looked like I had the physique of who, Kevin? What was my physique? What did it look like?
I think
I had the physique of SpongeBob. And then afterwards,
You've transformed.
I transformed because I lifted with the best, man. That's what it is. But anyway, I just wanted to have you on to introduce you, and what you do and everything, because you're making some big moves, and I'm sort of part of the Twitter sphere. Is this music too loud or whatever?
It's up to you. I don't mind.
There you go. No, it's good. But anyway, Kevin, you're not on Twitter. I am sort of a Twitter guy. I'm on there, and you're not on there. And I think you would do really great on Twitter. I think that you could, get a pretty big following, and you'd probably get a lot of celebrities to follow you who, who've had your hot sauce and liked it. And that could be a way of getting a lot of attention. But I'm not here to sell you on that. I just wanted to introduce. I'm trying to introduce you.
Are you working for Twitter now?
I work for Twitter. No, dude, I hate Twitter. I hate and love Twitter. But sorry, I've been talking most of the time. But I want you to sort of tell everybody your story of how you started Sauce Bay and why you started Sauce Bay, and kind of like how things have gone since then. You can get as detailed as you want. Just a background.
Yeah, so I guess at first, I've always been somewhat of like an entrepreneurial person. I think it was like high school. I tried creating like ripped jeans. No, not even, it was like middle school. I tried creating like ripped jeans, and I actually did it. This was like when MySpace was around. And I made like all these amazing pictures. People actually wanted to buy it, but the problem was I was like, in my early teens, I was like a teeny bopper. Like I didn't know how to start a business. So like when people are like, "Oh, when's it going to be available?" I didn't know what the next steps were. I was like, "Oh, great! Like I made one pair, but like, how do I mass produce this?" So, and like the internet wasn't as helpful, back then, obviously. So that didn't go anywhere. And then I always was like just trying to think of ideas. And then prior to the sauce, I started the kids' clothing brand that didn't fail. I just was simultaneously working on the sauce. And once I created the recipe, I was like, oh, this is what I need to do. Because I didn't have a kid at the time and I was using my nephew and stuff. But it did very well at events. But yeah, so it started because I was always entrepreneurial. But the real inspiration was, and I believe I've told you my story. I'm 30 now, but when I was 21, during my last year of college, I was playing soccer. I got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. So if you don't know what that is, it's autoimmune disease, essentially where your body starts attacking your colon, and it leads to really bad inflammation. Without getting too vivid in detail, it really messes your stomach up, which will lead to a lot of bathroom trips, a lot of urgency. But it's not something you can't really imagine it unless like you really like have ever dealt with something similar, because it's something that like you never have to be fearful of, like unless you're dealing with it. Like when you have a bad flare, like the urgency is not it's not like it's like not like a normal urgency, not like, oh man, I gotta go to the bathroom. So it really flipped my life upside down, and I was on medication, and I got better. I was virtually fine within like a week, and I was like, oh, this really is no big deal. But then, it came back worse than ever, and then medicine wasn't helping. I had to take
Now,
stronger medicine.
so is it comparable to like IBS or something like that?
Yes, but like worse. The reason I say worse is because your body like attacks your colon. So like with IBS, like your colon will look okay. You might just like have spasms or something, which creates like urgency and whatnot. But with this, you physically can have like bleeding and like mucus. Like not to get too graphic, but that's just the reality of it. But on top of that, like you can have so much inflammation that you literally just have this like extreme urgency. Now, like again, like right now I am 100% fine. I take like minimal medication, and this is kind of like, and I'll go down this path in a second. But at the time, like I was in probably way better. I was in better shape when I was like 21. That was probably like my peak conditioning and everything, and I was like super into the fitness. But because I was playing soccer, I could get away with really like embracing cheat meals. Like I knew like I could eat good, but like I could also shuffle away like a whole pint of ice cream like every other day if I wanted to, and still be like like when I would do the body fat scale, the things like I would literally air out because that's how lean I was. Like I had veins going everywhere. And
was that the tinnitus scale back in the day? Was that the tinnitus scale?
though I don't know what it's called, but it was like the one you hold like this, like you hold your hands or whatever and squeeze it. But no, I was like super lean. But moral of the story was when this happened, I thought that I was eating healthier. I thought that I understood what nutrition really was, because for the most part, it's not like I ate terrible, but I looked at, for example, like high protein flavored oatmeal as like healthy, and these things that I was eating were making my stomach worse and worse. And it wasn't until I decided like, all right, I have to figure out like how do I fix this. So I pretty much went on this long journey of because the medication wasn't working. That's some other story. And I was taking, the next level up was like corticosteroids, and I was on it for a long time. And then, like my face started to get chubby because it's a side effect. If you're not supposed to be on corticosteroid for a long time.
That's that steroid that. Have you ever seen that YouTube video with the kid with the big puffy cheeks, and he goes, "You're my cubby cake."
Oh yeah.
I think he was on those kinds of steroids. People were like, "Oh, that kid's fat." I'm like, "No, that kid's on steroids."
No, because corticosteroids, like for anyone that doesn't know, it's not like steroids. Like it's not like it doesn't. If anything, it probably is muscle wasting. It's actually harder to build muscle on it, and the long term side effects aren't really that great. And you can really have water retention. You can gain like fat in your face. So and I'm always someone that's like hard headed, and like even if a doctor says like, no, this is like the way, because like that at the time they told me nutrition had nothing to do with it. So I was like, that's bullshit, BS. Like I was like, I don't believe that. So long story short,
science, Kevin. Trust the science.
Yeah. Well, so I went on a long journey, and I really found that, at least what I truly feel is that the epitome of good health and nutrition is just eating real food, and that will also vary from person to person. So some people may do better on something where they honestly, maybe their body doesn't handle vegetables that well. Maybe they really do handle just like meats, fishes, like fats better than the next person, but that might be, peak health for them. But then there's another person that really might not be able to digest like animal protein as much and dairy products. So maybe for them, peak nutrition is more of like a vegan type diet. So, I mean,
What
like,
would you recommend people who are looking to find out what their how their body best handles certain nutritional diets? Is there a way of finding that out, or is it just a matter of going to doctors and?
no, I really think it's a matter of, I mean, yeah, you could always do like an allergen test, right? But I mean, if you don't really have any allergies, I would say the best thing you could do is really just keep a journal, observe, kind of set a plan, be kind of strict to what you're eating. And when I say strict, I mean like limited more. So you can see how your body's reacting. Not too limited where you're only eating one thing, but everything that's like in the same realm and see. And I like for me personally at the time when I was like going through this, I found that, and the reason I brought this up was I found that when I eliminated when I eliminated all processed stuff, this is like how I really came to the conclusion that it's real whole foods is really what you have to eat. And when I started eliminating anything processed, like even semi-processed, that like the only things I would start to consume were if it came in a package, it had to be real ingredients. Like it couldn't be any preservatives, no thickeners, and there's very few items that are like that because usually they're packaged to be able to be packaged. They need to be shelf stable, and typically to be shelf stable, you need artificial preservatives unless it's like something that's fermented or naturally acidic. So for me, I started eating really clean, and that's really what started to restore my health.
You started paying attention to a lot of what's inside of things.
Everything,
And around what age did you start doing that? I mean, this is right after 21 when you realized you had this issue.
Yeah. So the thing is, it was probably a process. It was probably more around 22, 23 that I really started to learn. Like I started playing around with my diet, obviously, as soon as like my second flare ever happened, which was when I was on medication. When I was like, oh man, I need to like really intervene here somehow. Because I was lucky in that when I was at my worst, it was very bad. Like I literally couldn't even leave my dorm. But there are people, like, I'm not going to pretend like I was the worst. There's people that literally, like, I went to the hospital because like I almost fainted. This is how I got diagnosed. I almost fainted after a soccer game because I was so dehydrated because it was during preseason. But there are people that literally get hospitalized, get their colon cut out because it becomes like that toxic. I was never near that level. So I won't even pretend like I was. My point is that is a possibility if it keeps progressing. So for me, that's why I was like, all right, I need to get to the bottom of it.
It's still, especially the 21, it's still a pretty traumatizing thing to realize that you've got something wrong with you. And from what you describe, it sounds like whatever this thing was, that has to be a very, uncomfortable, something. The word, it has to be a traumatizing thing to have something, like that happen at 21 years old.
Yeah.
Your peak health. You're a soccer star. You're doing your thing. Yeah, you come from Howell. Weren't we good?
Yeah, I mean, my travel team was like top 10 in the country, and like one of my teammates plays in MLS. I'll give him a shout out, Alex DeJean. He plays in MLS, and then I mean, college we were okay, but I mean, I played in soccer because I tore my hamstring twice. So I started getting into lifting when I was like you said, very early age. So when I was a freshman in high school, even though I was very good at soccer, I honestly didn't really. I don't want to say I didn't care about soccer because I cared, but I didn't practice outside of soccer, even though I was very good at the time. All I cared about, honestly, was like fitness in general. So I really started getting into fitness in a way at that time that really wasn't smart. I would say, hurt my athletic ability because like I didn't do things as far as like mobility and whatnot, and that's how I ended up tearing my hamstring and stuff. But that's like another story of like how I kind of matured also in like a fitness sense.
We can get into that maybe towards the end. But you started paying attention. So around 22, 23, after a couple of years of dealing with this new illness, you really just slowly started to really pay attention to what was inside of the foods that we ate. And where does that take us?
So I started really paying attention, and I started piecing things together, and it was definitely a slow process because when you see a lot of these, packaged food items on the shelf, you see they never tell you what's wrong with it, right? They promote like, oh, no, they say none of this or none of that, or like has this, but they never tell you like anything that's bad. Like they're not going to be like, oh, filled with preservatives. So it's when you go from having very little understanding, or you think you have an understanding, which is kind of how the position I was. Like I had a general sense of health, but I thought that things that were like health products, like were healthy, when that's not the case at all. So yeah, I mean, it was a slow process from 22 to 23, and over the years, I just started to fine tweak, my diet, and I kind of did like elimination. I found what works, what didn't, and then the the longer that time passed, I started just learning more things. Like, for example, before my body, and this is still holds true now, but like my body really was able to digest like red meats. I eat a lot of grass-fed beef. Uh, I eat, like things like wild salmon, wild fishes, but like I don't even really eat that much chicken breast, to be honest. I eat because everything's like for the most part factory farmed, so I eat more red meats and stuff. I eat all grass-fed stuff, and I eat lamb and everything. But
Do you have a really high protein diet? I'm talking more so than the gym bro. I'm talking like
I would
yeah.
say it's somewhere in line with the gym bro, because I don't. So I no longer track like my protein intake or anything like that, but in a general sense, I do have an overall pretty high protein diet because I eat so many different types of animal proteins. But with that said, like I don't take any protein supplements. I don't take any protein like powders. So I'm not going out of my way to really eat anything other outside of this, nor, like there's times where like I can just enjoy fruit and stuff. And that's one of the things I want to say is a couple of years ago, I used to have a lot of trouble digesting, I would say, because when I was trying to figure out my body, I found that animal proteins my body handled perfectly, but like
Mm-hmm.
vegetables and fruits, I kind of had trouble with.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned though, and it's kind of crazy, but it was more of like a recent discovery. I tried out like a 3-day fast, and believe it or not, it helped like me more than anything. Because and the reason I did it is that I came across a study that said that, I mean, this is known for like 24-hour fasting too, that it helps kind of like reset your system, right? Because the longer you fast, because digestion takes a lot of energy, right? All the blood flow goes to your gut. Like if you're digesting food 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
So they say with a 3-day fast, you can actually almost shed like a lot of, because like when you get to that point and you're like kind of in a starvation mode, your body has to start shedding stuff that's like kind of broken. So they say, at least per this study, that if you do a 3-day fast, you practically almost like reset your immune system to an extent,
Mm-hmm.
because cells that are damaged and whatnot will literally like shed, because your body just can't hold on to like because there's no calories coming in. So I did a
Mm-hmm.
3-day fast, and then I went out of my way to eat a lot of foods that would bother me. Healthy foods are like clean, like fruits. Like I would have oatmeal, raw honey, dark chocolate, like extra dark, and my stomach was a mess for like a week. And then I kid you not, like I was able to adapt, and now I can eat like dark chocolate, like literally bars worth in it, and it won't bother my stomach. I don't get bloated nearly, like I don't get bloated at all actually from eating fruit anymore. Um, so it was kind of like a unique discovery that I found that really helped out my
So
stomach.
you're constantly paying attention. You're constantly paying attention to what goes in, and you're constantly paying attention to how you feel, how food makes you feel. I mean, that is kind of that's what led to Sauce Bay, no?
Yeah, so yeah, I kind of got off track, but
No,
in
but
this
it was
journey,
interesting.
on the
It's a good
journey
segue.
that
Yeah.
yeah, so like on the journey, once I got diagnosed, I pretty much said, all right, I gotta fix this. I gotta figure out what's wrong. Doctors are saying that diet doesn't have anything to do with it, but like, I don't buy that. I was like, clearly it has to do something with it, right? So on this journey, I pretty much discovered a couple things, but the two biggest things were, one, eating real food was like a game changer for me. Above anything else, eating real food was a game changer. I found that eating anything processed, and that still holds true to today. If I eat anything that's like heavily processed, that has like thickeners in it, like xanthan gum, which is in not just sauces, but in like ice cream and stuff. It's a thickening agent, which is used in a lot of things that destroys my stomach. Like even bubble gum, like will mess up my stomach. So that was number one, right? And then the second thing was while I was eating stuff and trying to figure out what could help, I found that just eating a lot of natural anti-inflammatory foods helped because the medication that you're first prescribed when you get ulcerative colitis, like the first, I guess, like stage or level, are just anti-inflammatories. They're not like, it's not like Advil. It's called mesalamine, and it's an anti-inflammatory that pretty much releases like in your gut. So I was like, all right, well, let me try eating naturally anti-inflammatory foods. So things like salmon, stuff with like healthy fats. Uh, One of the things though that I fell in love with was turmeric, which is the main ingredient in sauce base. So I used to and I still do. I sprinkle it on my food. Like I don't even do it for flavor. Like I do enjoy how it tastes. A lot of times, like I'll just like sprinkle a ton, and maybe I'm just so used to it because it's kind of it's earthy and stuff. So it's not like the sweet sense that you would want to really be drenching your food in. But I fell in love with it, and it did taste well with a lot of the foods I ate, like fish, salmon, steak. So one day, the entrepreneur in me was like, there's really not that many turmeric products out there. And I was like, I would get pissed because I would come across this all the time. And I saw this like 2 years ago. I was in the frozen food aisle I was just at like Stop and Shop. And there was like a pizza roll thing where it was like all natural, no artificial flavors or anything, ingredients. And I turn over the box and there must have been 200 ingredients like in this thing. And I was so mad. Like I was literally heated because I was like, someone's gonna believe this, gonna be like, oh, but babe, this one's all natural. And I was screaming like in my head, like it's not like, this is so like deceiving. So I wanted to do something that, was truly all natural, had turmeric. And I looked at it as an opportunity where if I could pull this off and get into the industry, maybe one day later down the line, I could start doing other categories and maybe to try to make a change. So it was more than just like I wanted like a product. It was more like I need a way into this food industry, and I want to be able to share my opinion, and I want to be able to be transparent about things. And again, it's not that I'm anti processed foods. Some things just can't exist without it. I just think that there needs to be transparency. I want people to know what they're putting in their body.
So I've known you for a long time, and we've talked about Sauce Bay a lot. We've been out to many coffee bars together where I'm coding and you were working on Sauce Bay, and I have never known that about this. I've never known this, that you went into it with this mindset of this bigger picture. This is the first time I'm hearing about it. I thought, I don't think I ever thought that you'd stop at Sauce Bay, but I didn't know that you had this big, this plan in front of you. That's pretty interesting to hear.
Yeah, I find that I feel like a lot of people, and this isn't like a jab at anyone, but there's a lot of people I feel like that, and maybe almost everyone I feel like wishes they could change something, but a lot of people rather than, and you can take action on many levels, right? So I don't want to get into like anything where it's like I'm saying that no one ever tries to make a change. All I'm saying is I find that if you truly want to make a change, the best way is to just be like, it's literally like that quote, be the change you want to see in the world.
Change, yeah, right.
And it's true. Like if you really wholeheartedly believe in something and you want to change, rather than like me yelling at these companies like do this, do that. Yeah, it's almost.
I wish they had turmeric in my.
Yeah, or like put the ingredients on the front. Like don't get me wrong, you need it at all levels, right? So that's why I'm saying I'm not bashing one, and it almost helps to have it at all levels. But someone has to go in there and be like, no, like I'm gonna change this, and that's what I hope to do. And like that's why the sauce, when I went into this, I have no background in making hot sauce. I had to learn like every step of the way. And like it was like a research project. Like I mean, I had to learn the legality of it. I had to learn how to do it, how you bottle, because it's not like you just put it in a bottle. Like there's steps for food safety. So I had to think in terms of if I get this scaled one day. So
yeah. So Kevin, the show Hot Ones is a game show on YouTube, and it has every celebrity you could ever think of has been on this show, and they try a bunch of wings with different varying levels of hotness of hot sauce. And Kevin's hot sauce has been featured on this. When I found out, I was completely shocked. I loved Kevin's sauce. I've always believed in it. I honestly think it's one. I'm not kidding, and I really
No,
mean this.
I
Like,
know.
look,
That's why I'm laughing because
look.
I appreciate it.
No, it's true, and honestly, and I'd have every reason to lie to your face. So I'm throwing that out there. I have every reason,
you really
but
don't.
I love that I don't have to lie.
Yeah.
It is honestly, I put it on everything when I get it. And I showed Ryan, who also works in Gaintrust with me. I showed him, Sauce Bay. He puts it on everything. He absolutely loves it. He's completely hooked, and everybody I show it to, and my brother, we all love it. But anyway, the point is, let me go back to Hot Ones. He says I can vouch. It's good shit. He just says. There we go.
I saw.
So every celebrity you can possibly think of has been on this show. Okay, Hot Ones, and you got on, and your sauce got onto this show. First of all, you don't have to get into how it happened, but if you want to just quickly
the how it happens, is actually pretty great story. I went into Stay Gold, if you know what that is.
Stay Gold is a local cafe. Literally, I could walk to Stay Gold right now. It's a little cafe in the middle of New Jersey.
So it's when I first started, and it was so. Let me backtrack. Created the sauce, the recipe, 2017. Took me 4 months to like make the recipe. 2018. I spent doing like all the R&D for it, right? Like making it in a commercial kitchen and whatnot. 2019 is when I first got my first commercial batch, like from an actual co-packer, manufacturer. And a couple months later is when I got on Hot Ones. Anyway, between me getting my first
batch, I didn't know that. Wait, are you so sorry? How long after you made it that you got in the Hot Ones? How long?
So I made the recipe in 2017, very end. Took me 4 months, right? So beginning of 2018 was when I was like printing out a label in my house to envision what it would look like, right? So 2018 is like my year of research and development, where I, got all the legal stuff out of contact, local food, like the food safety people and, like the health inspector. And I'd had to get a commercial kitchen. I had to make sure like all my steps were in place. And so this was like me figuring out all the stuff, building the website, designing the label. I tweaked the label 3 times. So by the end of 2018, I started to get into like a couple local places, and I felt confident in the product. So I was like, all right, now's the time. Like if I ever want to grow this, I obviously can't make it myself. I can make like 60 bottles max in like a day. You know what I mean? Like it serious work, like effort for like 60 bottles. Where a manufacturer, they can make thousands and thousands within like a couple hours. So I finally went to North Carolina at the very end of 2018 and got my first commercial production very beginning of 2019. Like think of January 1st, 2019 as like my official start date. A couple months after that is when I got on Hot Ones. And the story is I went into Stay Gold. That was one of the places that picked up the sauce. The manager at the time, named Jerry Saluti, really good person. Me and him became friends, and he recommended that I reach out to a store in New York called Heatness. So I said, all right, let's do it right now. So I pulled out my laptop because I would always go there to do my work, and I sent them an email. And before I know it, they got back to me. They said they loved the sauce, and they were going to call back. They wanted to hear about my story and whatnot. I pretty much told them everything that we talked about earlier about like my inspiration, where I was at. And they then called me back and said that there's a 95% chance I was going to be placed on Hot Ones, and that they were going to order around 8,000 bottles. And that number eventually jumped up to like 14,000 bottles for the season. So it went from me just reaching out to this store based on my friends, who I also owe a thanks to, because he's the one that brought the sauce into Stay Gold initially, where they were selling it at the cafe. All because that day I walked in and he's like, you should send an email to Heatness, and I did, and it ended up working out tremendously. So I cut him like a little, like thank you check when I got like my first big, sale, which was huge. But yeah, that's like how I got onto Hot Ones. And I went in when they called me saying that like we're interested, we love the sauce. I was excited because I thought they were gonna buy like 4 cases, like 40 bottles. I was like, yes, I just locked another hot sauce store, and then it turned into a 14,000 bottle order and getting all these celebrity endorsements. And So it worked out like in perfect
Amazing.
timing.
There's Kristen Bell and Trevor Noah, who sucks, but oh well, you still got him. You still got him to eat your stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean I can't bash on anyone just because.
I'm kidding. Let me do the
No.
bashing. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's a really big deal, man. Having someone like Trevor Noah, like eat your stuff, and Kristen Bell, and so I wanted to ask you, what do you know all of the celebrities offhand that have tried your sauce, and what was your favorite reaction?
The ones that reacted to it was Kristen Bell, Trevor Noah. Juice World had a funny reaction because when Sean said next is a sauce-based sauce, Juice World was like, what? Like he thought that Sean Evans called him like Bay. So it was like a really funny like interaction.
Here, let's watch Trevor Noah eat your sauce.
Ending. That's the problem. That's a nice flavor. I can taste the pineapple.
You're a self-described roller coaster whore who dreams of touring the best thrill rides in America.
So
what's been your?
Is that the end of his description?
That was sometimes they show the reaction, like they kind of put the verbal, the audio over the bottle, and then sometimes they actually have their reaction, like while they're eating physically.
He appreciated that. You could tell he liked that.
No, yeah, it was really nice. I mean, that's just so. I think Trevor Noah liked it. Kristen Bell really liked it.
Let's see Kristen Bell. I like Kristen Bell a lot.
And this is made with turmeric.
This is made with turmeric.
We're inflaming our taste buds with hot sauce. And then the inflammation is coming from the turmeric.
It's a full circle.
It really is. What a nice sauce. What a thoughtful sauce.
Wow.
So I want to stay on the topic of...
You meant to say that the inflammation is like... Because turmeric is anti-inflammatory, but that's just it's like taking away the inflammation.
That's really great. I mean, that's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, if I like to publicly thank. I mean, I don't know if they'll ever see this, but
maybe they will. Look, this might blow up.
No, I mean, from the bottom of my heart, seriously, I would like to publicly thank Kristen Bell, Trevor Noah, Schoolboy Q had a great reaction. I mean, he even named it his favorite sauce at the end. And I am a big hip hop fan. I'm actually a member of Boxden, if you know what that is. It's like a big hip hop forum. It's like you wouldn't think that I'd be on it, but I've been on it for like honestly since I was like in middle school. So
really,
I do. Yeah, I mean, granted, I listen to all genres. I literally will listen to like classical music. I listen to like heavy metal. So I don't.
So what's that forum about? So it's a hip hop forum, and what's
it's called Boxden. It's BX, and honestly, I've gotten a lot of support from them too. I've made my post and I don't post often just because I try not to get sucked in because I have to kind of be like tunnel vision when I work on my stuff because I'm still I'm still on a mission and I have to grow, and so I try not to spend too much time and hold on, my dog's chewing on a bone.
Rambo's a great name for a dog, by the way.
Rambo, come here, up. Can you see him?
Oh, there he is. Rambo is actually a really great dog. I love Rambo.
Can you see him in the back? Just living.
Yeah, we see him.
But let me take this one out, otherwise you're just gonna hear chewing the entire time. I'm sorry, buddy. You get it right after.
Who's a good boy?
But yeah. So anyway, the story is definitely. I would like to publicly thank Eatness first for getting it on the show. I mean, it was. I'd be lying if I said that wasn't a huge help. I mean, I did have things going beforehand. Like I actually got 20 GNC stores before the Hot One stuff. So I was still, really pushing and making progress. But I mean, it like I said, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a huge help. I mean, getting all these celebrity reactions from Kristen Bell, Schoolboy Q, Trevor Noah, Jay Farrow from Saturday Night Live liked it.
That's a good point, though. It's not like Hot Ones made you. I mean, it did do a lot for you. I know that, but you were making big moves before Hot Ones. It almost makes sense that Hot Ones would happen to you because you were already doing big things. It's not like you were discovered as like a total nobody. You had a good thing, and your sauce was making its way around, and it's amazing. Now I went down to Ocean City, which is like South Jersey. And I was just going through, the grocery store one day, and I'm like, wait. I mean, I kind of wasn't surprised, but I was also like shocked. I'm like, Sauce Bay, hey! It's like, hey, Kevin, look at you.
What's funny is
Yes.
Yeah, I'm in like 70 ShopRites now, and I got into all the Price Right stores, or virtually all of them. There's always maybe like a couple stores that, like, in any type of chain that don't carry it because they might just be like a smaller store and don't have like the space. But I actually didn't know that it was on the shelf yet until I ran into you at the gym and you
Oh yeah,
mentioned
that's right.
that.
I remember.
And I was like, wait, I didn't believe you. I thought you were lying.
Yeah, you thought I was messing with you.
And you're like, yeah, man, I thought you were like BSing me, just like, being nice. I was like, and then I really found out. I was like, oh my God, it's on the shelf already. And I was like, thank goodness.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Me and Kevin and I go to the same gym, and it's definitely a scene gym. It's definitely a scene gym. Everybody's got their cameras out. Everybody's taking pictures of themselves. Everyone's recording videos. Everybody's in amazing shape. Everybody's wearing like the coolest gym clothes. I hate it. I love it and I hate it. I mean, it's a great gym and it's awesome, but
you get a great workout. As long as there's space,
do.
you will get a great workout in.
That's true. I love the equipment. It's a great gym. I love Ray, the owner.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
The whole group is great. It's just there's a lot of Gymshark wannabes in there, man.
Yeah, it's tough. I can't. I try. I can't really bash anyone that's going for. As long as people are really trying though. Like if you're gonna commit, like if you're gonna,
a good guy.
You want to do something, like as long as you're committed to it, I'll never bash someone, right? Because like for example,
you're right.
Well, because like think about when I started the hot sauce stuff, I told people and they like practically laughed in my face, like what? I had to back.
They did.
So my point is, as long as you're committed, I'll never doubt someone because really anyone. Listen, I'm just a human being. Anyone could do it.
You're right. You're right.
But there are people that do half-ass it, and those people I will bash them because, like I said, listen, you go hard, then I'll never talk shit. But like if you kind of front on something, not you personally, I'm saying anyone in general.
No, I got you. Yeah.
I'll call them out on
it. I think you have the right attitude. I'm still a bit of a hater. I have to shed the hater in me. I have to shed the hater in me.
I'll tell you something. Say this all the time. Like you're a hater.
I am a hater.
In a good way, though.
I'm okay. So I think this is how it works with me. I'm a hater who knows I'm probably wrong about my hating. You know what I mean? Like I'm like my reaction to like to the gym, that we go to initially was like, oh, it's too much of a scene. And I'm like, but I'm still going to go and I'm probably going to love it.
Yeah.
But I still have to like hate it at first because I'm a child on the inside.
You're your faults.
It works. Whatever. It works. Okay. So you have, Hot Ones happens. And I hadn't heard much from you. COVID hit. Everybody sort of went into their own little corner. You were up in, you got a place in Jersey City during COVID, Hoboken. I believe. Hoboken. And you took your operations there, and then I think you eventually moved back home with the parents or whatever. I don't remember what you did, but
that's right. With the family.
And then I ran into you at the gym. This was like a year and a half later, after maybe a little bit longer than that, after Hot Ones, and recently you were featured in Forbes. It was 1,000. The 1,000.
Yeah, the next 1,000.
The next 1,000, and it was to look out for in 2021.
Just pretty much for the future, kind of just like the next entrepreneurs. They pretty much were looking for just people that they think could be, like the next big thing, essentially.
What was that like for you? I mean, did you have to sort of apply to something like that, or did it just happen to you? And what?
No, I had to. You could apply or get nominated. I mean, I just simply filled out an application. They obviously get like hundreds of thousands of people, because it's Forbes. But like, I just pretty much shared my story of like, what I created, what I've accomplished. I kind of built the timeline out.
It's a good story.
And yeah, I mean, they got back out to me saying that, I was a candidate. They just wanted to find out a little bit more information. And I filled that out. And then before I knew it, I got an email saying, like, congratulations, we chose you guys like to be on the list. And it was definitely really cool. It like just helped. Like, again, like I know we kid around like pre-Forbes Kevin.
Pre-Forbes Kevin and
I'm obviously 100% the same, I almost forgot about it. But it in the moment, it felt great though, because it did, it was like another level of like, affirmation for myself.
Another affirmation.
I'm doing this, and it's like step at a time, and it did nothing but help me like mentally, I guess, like add that other layer of like confidence in a good way, obviously. Like I don't.
Well, I think because you're a hard worker, I think that none of this stuff has access to your. Well, I don't want to speak for you, but it does. I don't think it has access to your ego because you're constantly grinding, and I don't think when you're grinding and you're working your ass off, stuff. It's nice when you get affirmation, like you said, but it doesn't go to anything, anything stupid like silly, ego, whatever. Because you've been grinding, and this comes from a place of difficulty of you had an illness and it's born of that, and it's all been sort of a very honest. It's been a very honest venture from my perspective, watching you do your thing, and it's been pretty amazing watching this happen. And I have to say, I was never a hater because I was your friend, but I did not expect any of it. I thought I could, and I loved it. And that's the thing. I love the sauce, but I didn't have any concept of how things happen. And one thing I will say that I learned from watching you is that you do make things happen. I mean, obviously you have to have a good product. You have to have a good work ethic. You have to be a badass, but you made shit happen. And that was something that watching you do your thing was a lesson for me, and that was something that I did not go in watching from the early days. I was just, I didn't know what to expect, and I didn't expect what ended up coming down. And I know you have tons of plans, and I know you have big plans, and you want to do a lot. I know that's just who you are. You want to do a lot more with everything, but you've done a pretty amazing thing already, and I do think of whenever I have a nutrition question or even a gym question, I know that I can always come to you, and you've done your work, your shit. You've put in the time. So, just props to you in all those ways.
Thank you.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it means a lot to hear. And, it's funny because you mentioned ego before, and I would almost say that like ego is actually a part of it in a different sense though, right? I feel like a lot of people think of ego in like a bad way.
Well, you mean ego in the Dragon Ball Z way, right?
No, well, I think of Vegeta's pride, right? Like that's me in a sense that like I don't have my ego to an extent. The reason I say to an extent is I don't have my ego in a sense where I need to be better than someone else or put someone else down. It's more that I have an ego and I'm probably overly confident in myself. And once I set my mind to something, like I refuse to quit. And I think it's the fact that like for me, there's no plan B. Like I don't have a plan B in my mind. Like literally that's not like, there's days I wake up and I'm like, damn, like I really like, I'm worried or like, cause it's a constant grind. Cause there's a misconception, right? Cause like think about it this way. I've gotten into 300 home goods stores. I've gotten into 250 plus world market stores. Those were like one-time sales. So, maybe it'll be another sale in the future, but that's not like a permanent, like kind of like how ShopRite and PriceRite is. My point is like, it's probably a misconception where people see that I have like 1,000 reviews on Amazon, think like, I've had people like ask, like, are you a millionaire? No, by no means. That's why I'm back home, because all my money, the more stores I get into, the more money I have to put on inventory. So as a single person, owner, I'm funding all this. So like I put every dollar I have into business. But anyway, the reason I brought up the ego thing is the reason I refuse to like give up is because like my ego won't let me give up. So like it's almost a blessing to have an ego, as long as it's like I'll call it a responsible ego, almost like. And it's like that, like I said, that sane pride where like I don't want to, let myself down. I just want to be the best version that I believe I can be. So I just like will keep on pushing no matter what. And the one way when things get really hard, I just remind myself that, another entrepreneur that's like in the same category that's like trying to maybe get a hot sauce out there is dealing with the same stuff. And I just tell myself that like they can only handle this pressure so many times before they quit. And that's like kind of what keeps me going, is that like in my mind, I'm never quitting. Like unless it fails, like I'll go bankrupt doing it. Like I don't care. But yeah, everything has been working out and it's been doing really well. I mean, I actually got amazing news today. I initially wasn't going to say anything, but might as well because it's pretty much like 100% happening.
Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news. Kevin has brand new news about, I'm guessing, Sauce Bay.
Yeah. So Sauce Bay is going to be launching in Harris Teeter, which is owned by Kroger. So it's a grocery chain out in like, North Carolina, South Carolina, where my sauce actually made, we're talking like 200 some locations. So it's a really big deal.
Wow. And so how much of an expansion is this? Is there a percentage that you could tell me? Like, is this doubling what you're doing now or tripling?
Oh, well, I mean, it's huge because this
Chaz says Virginia and DC too.
So we're talking major grocery. So like, here's the difference, right? Like, I was probably in a couple hundred stores in the past, right? But like when you're in different hot sauce stores that are selling it, right, and you're on the shelf amongst another 300 sauces, right? Like it's great, but you could be in 300 of the stores. Don't think you're going to be selling like cases in a week. At like our shop right in our town has probably sold like 5 cases and 6 cases in a month. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you're in actual large chain grocery, you move much more volume. So like the impact for me, like that's always been the goal from day one when I created it. My goal was always I wanted to drop the price down because on Amazon it was like $12.98. So the price in ShopRite, Price Right is $5.99, and then I plan on running promos to bring it down to $4.99, maybe even $4.50, because I want people to be able to afford it. Because that's my goal. Like I'm not trying to be like it's a specialty sauce.
I will buy a lot more Sauce Bay.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why seriously, because I think back to myself. First, thank you to anyone that's ever bought it at a price point of like $12. People forget. I mean, there's shipping. Like the shipping eats more than half of the cost. Like so, like when people buy stuff online, the price is higher, but that's because the cost to ship glass bottles extremely expensive. But
Chaz goes, that's huge.
I mean, it's I mean, thank you, and yeah, it's like it was crazy news to find out, and like I said, it's pretty much 100% happening. Like I have like the confirmation email. They're getting the item number set up, and really we just have to go over like last couple, fine details, like monetary details.
Congratulations! When did you find this out?
Like today. Today. So I have a broker. So I'll actually say his this guy Steve Ewing, which is another great story. Met him at Staygold. Was
Staygold, man. That start hanging out at Staygold.
Everyone that honestly go to Staygold. A lot of good things happen with me there. So this guy Steve Ewing, he used to buy the sauce, and I got introduced to him at Staygold because he really liked it, and he kind of had some food industry contacts, and he pretty much pitched me. He's like, give me an opportunity to broker you. So what a food broker is food brokers are people that essentially know the buyers for large chain, retailers, right? Because every store has a buyer for what categories. So maybe it's condiments, maybe it's frozen foods, like whatever. They have a buyer. So ideally, a good broker has these contacts, right? Because if you just start a company and you're like, all right, how do I get into XYZ store? Well, you're going to have to talk to the buyer. But like if the buyer doesn't know who you are, good luck getting a response, because you and every other person out there is trying to get in contact with them. So, I mean, it's really hard. But he was like, and I'll call him like an unofficial broker at the time because he had contacts, but he wasn't doing this. He wasn't dealing with those buyers per se. But the reason I wanted to give him a shot was because this guy, like I could see the fire in his eyes. Like he was so hungry. And man, like I do not like this guy. He's the one that got into ShopRite. Like I can't even pretend like I did. So I've done virtually everything, right? And like you can see the photography stuff back there. I've done all the content pretty much. I have the bottles. I have a camera. Oh, I mean, here's like my camera. I literally have all equipment. I designed the labels myself, 100% myself in Adobe Illustrator. I do like Photoshop. I've gotten really good at stuff. Like I said, I create the recipe, I had to scale it. So now I have a manufacturer that makes it. But aside from that, like I do virtually everything myself. But this guy has really pulled through as far as like selling to large stores. I mean, I used to do, go into stores individually myself with my hat in my hand, like in a bottle, and here's a card, and I'd hand them a pamphlet, and I'd give them a quick like elevator pitch, and just no pressure. I'd say if you like it and you feel the product's good for you, I'd be like, give me a call. But this guy's really come through, and because of him, I got the shop right, I got the price right, and now the Harris Teeter. So he's starting a broker company, and it's called Brocom. So I got to put it out there because he's done nothing but because he's, like I said, he's a hustler, and that's like, it's persistence. So but yeah, that's how that happened. I got the news from him today. He called me. I saw the phone, and I was working on something, so I actually let it ring. and I was like, like he's probably just trying to say hello. And then instantly he sends a text, "Call me now!" Exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. So I called him, the news he shared. So it's pretty incredible.
That is incredible. That's amazing.
So breaking news.
Breaking news. So it's one of those stories that, like, you see, like, maybe like, is it William Buffett? I don't know. What's the guy's name? Something Buffett, some billionaire, right? Whatever his name is. They always come out. They always have these stories of when they start, and they're like, "Yeah, I used to go, store to store with my hat in my hand." So
yeah,
it sounds a lot like that.
You have to. I mean, you have to do a lot of things that are uncomfortable. Like, that's how you get here. Like, you need to be okay with someone like ignoring you, someone telling you no. I mean, granted, the best way to be okay with it, though, is to create a good product, right? Like, I'll always say that, like, whatever, if you have truly an amazing product, and again, not every person's going to like what I made, but like, if you look on Amazon, it has almost 1,000 reviews and it has a 4.5 out of 5-star rating. So, like, the most part, because with food, you can't please everyone. Some people don't like chocolate, some people don't like vanilla. Like, it's just a reality. Everyone has a different palate. But I genuinely really spent the time making the recipe. Like, and I didn't mention this before, but when I created the recipe, I spent 4 months making it, and every day I would only tweak one ingredient. And if it was better or worse, I'd mark that down. Yeah. So I could pinpoint exactly what improved it or made it worse. And that's how I fine-tuned it. And I'd be like, "Oh, made it worse? Throw it out. Made it better?"
And why per day? Why per day?
Well, no, I mean per batch, I guess. And I made multiple batches per day, actually. So it was really per batch. Anytime I made a batch, I would tweak one single thing in a direction. I would maneuver everything like that based on the one tweak to see how that impacted it. So, being in analytics, that's what I did prior to the sauce. Like, that's how my mind works, is like, all right, how do I look at this from an analytical standpoint? Like, how do I figure out, is it improving? Is it getting worse? What do I think it needs? And then what do I plan to make those changes? So if I'm like, oh, maybe it needs a little of this. Okay, maybe these are the 3 things I'll test out. I'll start with this first. Did it make it better or worse? So that's pretty much the approach I did. I almost took like a scientific analytical approach to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like, that's pretty much how I went about that.
Well, that's really amazing. I did not see breaking news coming on the podcast, but that's great. But we are at an hour. But I wanted to ask if anybody had any questions for Kevin about fitness or about. Okay, so first question about how did you know when it was the batch?
So it's funny. So I remember I put. So the sauce was really good at this point, right? We're talking like weeks right before, and I was like really content, but I still was like, yeah, I feel like I can make it better. Which was tough because I needed this sauce to be healthy. It was low sodium, so there's only 20 milligrams of sodium. So salt's like the number one way to make food taste better, and I couldn't do that, and I couldn't add any fake stuff. So it was I was limited to what I could do. More of the story. I remember I added a little bit of extra cumin to it. I don't even think I had cumin in it as an ingredient. I added like a little bit, and I remember tasting it and like, whoa, like this is like a game changer. Like, it did something to the flavor that was like so unique. So then I just fine-tuned that, and then there was just one day where I was like so content with it. Like, I just couldn't stop eating it, and I was like, I think this is the one. So I went to a buddy's house, and we were watching the UFC fights because our 2 friends, Frankie Perez and Corey Anderson, they're both in the UFC, and we were watching their fights. I forget which one was fighting.
These are guys Kevin and I grew up with.
Yeah, they're from our area, and Corey's still fighting. Frankie, he's doing his own DJ stuff, and he's very successful with it. But yeah, so we were watching the fights, and I brought the bottles, and everyone was like, "This is amazing." And my friend, the reason I brought it was because a person's house, Joe Annecy, he like loves hot sauce, and I trusted his opinion. And he was pretty drunk that night, but he took it and he tasted it, and he was like, "Oh my god!" And he ended up chugging half the bottle because he was drunk. But my point is, that was the moment when he drank half a bottle that I was like, "This is the one." Like, I felt it at the house, but when he did that, that's like what, stamped the approval of certification. Like, this is the one. And from that day, I was ready to go forward. So.
That's really funny. I saw him recently sadly at Kirchhoff's funeral. But anyway, this is a podcast. I'm not going to get into local stuff.
Well,
but,
to highlight what Joe Annecy, he's a part of Run Pure Sports Bets, because he's really good at the UFC specifically, like giving picks for UFC betting. So if anyone's interested in that, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I actually sponsor he does like, YouTube episodes where he interviews fighters and stuff. And he actually just had a interview with Lisa Ann. You know who Lisa Ann is? Porn star.
Really?
Like huge, no, but like a huge, like super famous Lisa Ann. If anyone knows that is, they just did like a video, and she asked about Sauce Bay because he keeps a bottle in the back. And
oh my god!
Like, all right, Joey. She's like, what is that in the back? And he like jumped in on the opportunity. Was like, that Sauce Bay, my friend's sauce, and it was awesome. Yeah,
I had no idea he did that stuff though.
Yeah, really cool. He's really cool. He interviews a lot of fighters.
Does he have a lot of followers?
I don't know. I mean, he gets a lot of impressions, I think, on like Twitter. He's on Twitter too.
He's on Twitter.
I mean, I think his name's Joey Work. But he's a really cool, really, really down to earth, cool dude. Like I said, he's also been a huge help with the sauce. He's always, if you could put it out there anyway, he's always tried to help. So that's why
we'll be doing the same thing with this. You never know if the podcast blows up. Your episode number 2. But yeah, man. I mean, sitting here listening to the story, I mean, there's so many things I didn't even know, and I've kind of been around talking to you for years now about this, and this is really cool. I'm glad you came on and chatted with us about this. Is anything else you want to sort of plug or anything you want to discuss about maybe fitness?
Yeah, I mean, I have something cool with fitness. So here goes. This is, I guess, a good illustration of my ego and over self-confidence that I have. So I've always wanted to do something like fitness. So I've been struggling because I pulled my hip. I think I told you about this. I was doing single leg lunges on the Smith machine. This was like months ago. And my hip popped like 3 times. And I was injury free for like a year. I broke my rib last year in Hoboken playing soccer. So that was like months off in the pandemic, no gym access. So I still was in pretty good shape because I was working out and stuff. But now with the hip thing, it really limited me because I don't want to get too big, like upper body, while not working out legs. You know what I mean? No, I'm being serious though, because
I don't want to get too big.
I can only because I can't do my legs. So my upper body can get huge. And I'm working on legs, but I'm very limited. Like I can't do squats or anything. Because I'm actually going to physical therapy right now for my hip. I have no pain, but I have loss of sensation in my thigh, and I have a hip impingement essentially. But so the reason I'm bringing this up is once I'm better and I already started doing this, I told myself I want to do some physical feat because I'm very strong for like my weight, pound for pound. I've always known I was really strong.
Yeah.
So I just randomly Googled, what is the Guinness World Record for push-ups? And it's like 3,054 set by some guy from Australia, and it's in an hour. And I did the math, and it's 51 push-ups every hour. I mean, every minute. Sorry, every minute. And I started writing out a plan. I want to train to see if I can
do it. I think you're going to do it.
I wasn't going to put this out there because, I was like, this is like a big claim. So I'm not going to, but what I'm going to do, see, my whole thing is I'm very injury prone. So today what I was doing is I was doing 20 push-ups.
Yeah.
Well, so this I was doing 20 push-ups every hour for like 8 hours, which isn't hard at all. Like I can do, probably close to 100 nonstop. Like and I haven't been training. My point, and that's not like perfect form. I'm just saying like quick. But I wanna. I don't. The thing is, I have a track record of like putting too much stress on my body and then getting injured. So what I'm trying to do is I want to get my body used to a load over time. So if I do 20 every hour for like 8 hours, and then the next day do 21 every hour for 8 hours, and 22, because this goal is like going to be for a
22
year.
every hour?
22 push-ups 1 hour, like let's say it's noon, right? Do 22 push-ups. Next hour, do 22 push-ups. Because 22 is nothing that would tire me out. But I'm thinking over the span of like 8 hours, that's, we're talking like 160 push-ups. So my point is, if I can, and I'll take days off too, but my point is, if I can slowly increase the load over time to get to the point where, like, let's say I'm doing 30 every hour, then maybe I go to like, 15 every half hour, then 16 every half hour. I'm just going to keep doing this every day, except when I need breaks. Because like I said, I need to make sure I don't get injured. And I'm just going to keep doing this until I can get my conditioning up. Because like I said, my strength is there. I mean, I could probably do 80 to 100, like, fine right now. And I've barely been even doing chest, because I do splits where I do lower body one day and then upper body the next day. So when I do chest, I'm only doing like one exercise now. And I'm doing this mainly because with my legs, how they are, I can't really do a crazy workout. So I'm kind of just working on building, like, fixing like my weak points and stuff, and like my mobility. But yeah, so that's something I do want to do, and that's kind of like the plan. And I'm gonna see if I know it sounds crazy. Like, I'm literally just
No,
saying.
I've learned not to question you. I've learned not to question anything you do ever now. I'm now just taking notes.
Well, the other things I'd put out there for anyone that's listening is 3 things that I do, 2 things that I've been doing, especially with COVID. I think it's good to put out there. So I don't care what anyone tells you, your body, and this isn't like a pro-vaccine, anti-vaccine thing. Listen, I feel my viewpoint on that is, if you think you would get very sick, by all means take the vaccine. If you are young and you are healthy, like I haven't taken the vaccine, but this isn't what that's about. What my thing is, it's about that your body really can heal and deflect illnesses. And the reason I say that is, once I got my diagnosis with ulcerative colitis, I felt like my overall health started to decline. I would get, sore throats more often. I just started getting really sick all the time. My body, just something was out of whack. So 2.5 to 3 years ago, I started taking ice cold showers and doing the Wim Hof breathing. And I've been doing that every day ever since. I probably only missed maybe 2 days. And I started off very slow. Again, this is like one of those reasons why, like, I know if I really commit to something, I could do it. Because now I only take cold showers. Like, I take a hot shower at night, but in the morning, only cold shower, straight cold, no heat. And ever since then, I've gotten sick maybe once in the past 3 years. And it was like during a time frame where I literally didn't sleep. And I was just being like, I think I went out and,
How cold? How cold?
As cold as my shower can go.
Is it shocking still?
No, it's not. I mean, it's like kind of like a little, like, if I'm ever really tired, because the way I do it is I get into the shower and I just turn it on. And then when I say turn on, I mean, like, let's say like this is, off, that's on, because that's the coldest, right? Like, where we turn on, that's what I do. And then I pull it up and it just blasts me in the face. So like, yeah, when freezing water, no matter how adapted you are to it, when it just like blasts you in the face, you're kind of like, but then like I'm good. Like, it's no longer like I don't get out shivering. Like, my body heats itself right back up. I mean, I've ever since doing that, I do not get sick anymore. And again, it's in combination with the breathing, which, if anyone's ever interested, Wim Hof breathing, you can do tutorials. He has tutorials on it. He's a Guinness World Record holder also. Like I said, I don't ever speak on something. Like, I'm a skeptic at heart, and I'll never put anything out there, recommend anything, unless I've like tested it like for a long period of time. And I could say there's days where I was around sick people, where in the past I was always the one to get sick for a week and a half. I'd be the first to get sick in the household, last to get better. And I don't get sick anymore. I could hang around sick people. I'm telling you, it's been like life-changing. And now I just incorporated, my buddy from Sweden sent it to me, grounding. If you don't know what that is, it's pretty much just standing barefoot in the grass or dirt. And it's all about how there's like an electrical charge in the earth, and like your body has neurons and everything's charged. And they say that there's studies that show that like a lot of inflammation can be caused from like that off balance of never being barefoot on the earth. Like we're so disconnected. And I started doing it, like grounding myself every morning. I go outside and I drink my water first thing in the morning, and I stand barefoot on the grass, and I'm not kidding. Like it feels incredible. Like,
so your morning, you wake up, you jump into a shower.
no, well, first, usually what I do is I get up and usually I'll try to do the breathing first thing. Maybe I'll have a couple sips of water, and then while I'm still laying in bed, I try to do the Wim Hof breathing. I'll do 2 to 3 rounds of it. For anyone that doesn't know what you do is like you breathe all the way in and you try to breathe in through your head. You're laying down, you're breathing into your head, your chest, your stomach, like your whole body. You're trying to fill yourself up with as much air. But when you exhale, you're not really exhaling, you're thinking like letting go. And there's like tutorials where you can follow so you can kind of get your rhythm, a sense, to be the same. But you do like 30 to 40 breaths. And by the 40th breath, your body has so much oxygen that you'll feel high, like you'll feel tingling in your body. So then you just stop breathing on your 40th breath or whenever you really start to feel tingly, and you could just sit there and you close your eyes and you're laying down and you just hold your breath. And by the 3rd round, the most I've ever held my breath was close to 4 minutes, which is crazy.
You know, this reminds me of when I wanted to be able to stay underwater more than the other kids in the whatever. So I looked into like how to. What's that?
Yeah, so you drowned the other kids, so you.
yeah, exactly. They're in the woods. I looked into like how to hold your breath underwater really long, and one of the things that you've discovered is that before they go under, they stay on the side of the pool. And they practice deep breathing exercises. And when you're like, you've oxygenated your body really well, you can really stay under. And I noticed that too. And also when I was under, you're under and you're swimming, if you're in the right state of mind, your movements are a lot more like, you're not like, you're not trying to get to the other side. You're sort of just going with it. And I was surprised. I did like 3-4 laps and my brother's like, how did you do that? I don't even care about that anymore. That's lame. So
well, that goes to show. I mean, it's that's like kind of the premise of this is that like our body can hold way more oxygen than we give it credit for, and oxygen, alone is just like super super healthy to have. Like obviously, like you can't be on like an oxygen tank 24/7.
Breaking news.
But I'm telling you, it's, there's days where, and the breathing's a huge part of it. There was days in the past where, before the sign that I was getting sick was always like a tickle in the back of my throat, and I knew I was doomed. And I would, try to have lemon water, maybe gargling would help, but like it was like inevitable that it was coming. Like the next day I was going to be like bedridden. Like that was like the sign. Like I'm saying in the past, like whenever I knew I was about to get sick, it was usually because I'd get a tickle in my back of my throat, like oh no, sore throat's coming. But now, and I very rarely get it, but it did happen when I was in Hoboken. Started to get a tickle, and this was also during like the pandemic. So I was like, oh, do I got COVID or something? I laid on my couch and I did like 6 rounds of the Wim Hof breathing, like just nonstop, back to back to back. And then I took a cold shower after, because after I did the 6 rounds, I'm not even exaggerating. The tickle was gone, because the way it works is you hold your breath, and then once you have to inhale again, you breathe in and then you squeeze, like as if like you're kind of like pushing it all to your head. And it almost, I'm telling you, it's crazy, but like you only do it for 10 seconds. But when you do it, it like, you just feel like this wave of like, almost like numbness go through your body. And it like, once I was done, I didn't even have a tickle, like sore throat completely gone. So then I felt comfortable taking a cold shower. Because like if you're sick as hell, like you probably taking a cold shower may or may not really help you, because if your body's already trying to fight off an infection, then that's like a different story. So I won't. But no, I was just gonna say I don't really, I can't really recommend, like if you have like a fever, I wouldn't say like, yeah, go take a cold shower. Like
breathe it off.
But like if you just feel like unwell and stuff, but like you're not sick, but you feel like it's like coming. I mean, but
so in the mornings you start off with deep breathing exercises every morning.
Yeah, so I do it every morning, because you want to do it on an empty stomach. So that's usually just the most convenient time. So I do it in the morning. I try to drink a little bit of water first, and after the breathing, I have my dog. So I always take him out back. We always got to go on a walk. So usually what I'll do is I'll take him out back first, and I'll try to do some grounding for like anywhere between a couple minutes to, if I have time, maybe 10, 15 minutes. And then I'll either go take my cold shower or go take him on a walk, just because I don't want – that's the problem, is I have like a long morning routine, or at least like an ideal morning routine for me would be, doing the breathing, doing the grounding, doing the cold shower, and then stretching. So there's so many things. And then I have to take him out for like an hour because he's super high energy. So I try to take him out, and then I come back and typically take my cold shower.
So you're very you're very routine, is what
To an
I take away from
extent.
this.
I mean, no, yes and no. I have a general routine, but whether or not I hit them in that order or in a given time frame, I could definitely improve upon. Because like it's not like I instantly go like boom, 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 boom. Sometimes like for whatever reason he might have to go out really bad. So like then I'll have to like, shift. If I didn't have, the dog, which don't get me wrong, I'm not even gonna put that at, like, this is my best friend, you know what I'm saying? But if I didn't have a dog or anything that relied on me, then yeah, I could definitely have like a more strict routine. But he's like my closest friend, so I'm always he brought the picture. So I'm always with him.
There he is.
Yeah, we're always like out and about on an adventure. So
This is you guys in Hoboken?
yeah. That's the whole story.
I like that you have the orange shoes here.
Right? Those were my favorite shoes, but they've like fallen apart now, so now I can't really wear them.
Did you wear them because they kind of match the sauce?
I just love them, but it just made it even better that they like match the sauce.
All right, you're like, okay, let me just do a bunch of push-ups real quick.
It's
There you go. That's a good picture.
all right.
It's all right. No, that's good. So what are the big takeaways? I mean, I feel like we've had a lot of big takeaways. I mean, you really believe in yourself. Like, you call it ego. I think it really is confidence. I think we're part, a distinction without a difference here. I think it's confidence. I think you believe in yourself, but I think you've also shown that you can be extremely disciplined, routined. You have your convictions, true or not, whether there's an electrical pulse of the ground or not. You have your things, and I think that I can't say for certain, but I think that these are the signs of a person who thinks for himself, sets his own path forward, and is really in tune with himself and the world, and So I've sung your praises for over an hour now, but I really do think very highly of you and what you're doing, and that's why I wanted to have you come on and talk to anybody who ends up watching this. All of the information we talked about during our conversation will be in the description on YouTube. So everything we talked about, from the breathing exercises to the cold showers and all this stuff, we'll be doing our research, and we'll be linking to all that kind of stuff, as well as linking to things like Stay Gold and Sauce Bay, of course, and all these different things. So this will all be mentioned. So Kevin, unless you want to keep going, we can wrap up here.
I'm down to do like another 5 minutes. The only reason I have to go is because I got to do a little work, and then I got to hit Iron Revolution. Got to get my workout in.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I might go.
I did a home gym. You still haven't seen the home gym yet. You haven't come over.
I know.
One day, if COVID hit, if we have to lock down from COVID Delta Plus or whatever, just swing by, and we'll get a workout in.
Yeah, I'm down.
But yeah. Anybody have any questions before we let Kevin go? Because he's going to go get a workout in. And is it leg day or is it upper body today?
Today's leg day, so that's the only thing, is I gotta really take time and like stretch, foam roll, and like warm up, because I'm already like handicapped at the moment, so I gotta take it easy.
I want to just warn you, Mr. Guy who seems to get hit with injuries often. That push-up challenge, you're gonna mess yourself up.
I was already sore because yesterday I wanted to test myself, so like I was like, I have to do 51 a minute, So I did 51 the first minute. I was able to get 51 push-ups done in like 28 seconds. Like I was timing it because I have to see like that to calculate. And then I waited, and then once the 1 minute mark hit, did another 51, piece of cake. So I was like, oh, okay. Then by the third one though, when I do 51, I did it obviously, but like once I hit 30, you know, I wasn't on like hitting that 28-second like time frame anymore of getting it done. I was like slowing down. I was like, oh man, like this is tough. So I got to really think how I'm gonna do this. But from doing that, because I then waited like 5 minutes to see like, okay, after a 5 minute break, did my body recover? And it did. Or it might have been like 10 minutes, but it recovered. So I was like, okay, so I'm not like lost. Like, so more of the story, I ended up doing like probably a couple hundred push-ups yesterday. And I was like, went to do my 20 this morning. I was like, oh, I was like, I'm kind of sore.
Shit.
So, yeah, I was like kind of sore. So I was like, really
Isn't it good to know that push-ups can still get you sore?
Yeah, you know what was more sore? I was like my lats.
Your lats.
Like, well, yeah, because like it's both.
I've heard somebody say, you know, when you're benching, you want to push with your lats, and that so it doesn't make sense at first when you first hear it. You're like, why would I push my lats? Why shouldn't I push my chest? And then you get on the bench, and I don't know if you've benched in a while, but the point is, you do. If you say push with your lats, all of a sudden you're pushing, and you're like, oh, that's what they meant. When you activate your lats.
When you come down a lot, like if you do it slow with good form,
the negative motion,
you're kind of really tensing your lats, right, to kind of like bring it down slow, the bar. So like you're definitely getting a workout. Like same with
that's true.
Like when you're going in the one direction, you definitely, if you're doing correct form, like you'll definitely feel it in your back. So
the control, the control of having a nice pump in your back when you have a bar in your hand, I think that lends itself to putting most of your effort into your chest, so that the control of, you know, bringing it back down is sort of, you know, more taken care of by the nice pump you already have. That's why some people do pull-ups before they do chest day. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I didn't.
Well, it's a thing, and I've had some good experiences with that. And it also reminds me of when you do pullovers, you know, like dumbbell pullovers, or, you know, one of these guys.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny?
That's both a chest and a lat workout. Huh?
I don't think I've ever done pullovers.
Really?
I know what they are, but like in my, what is it now, like 14 years,
yeah, 14.
15, yeah. maybe even more, maybe like 16. I don't think I've ever, because I've been lifting since like I was like 15. I think.
Yeah.
So,
they can hit your chest and your lats. That's sort of the thing.
I gotta do them. I'm gonna do, you know, because I do like I go on. Honestly, I even use the machine in Iron Revolution. That's a leg machine. It's not meant for this, but it's like the equivalent of taking a bar, kind of like being on your knees and taking a bar and pushing up like this, and you feel it all in like your upper pec. So it's like really good. It's really concentrated because you're not lifting, even though like I'm lifting my arms up. That's not. Think of your arms as just like dead weight, like claws, just holding the bar like here, and you're pushing up with your chest, and you'll feel it all here and here. It's like really good.
Do you like that? Do you like that with the Smith machine ever? Do you ever do that?
No, but I do it with just like a bar. You know what I mean? Like, but it could be anything. Like I said, the iron. There's that like leg machine. I think it's like the hack squat machine, or one of the squat machines. Like comes out in Iron Revolution. I literally just go up to with no weight. The machine itself is just heavy enough, and I just do these, and it's like phenomenal.
Well, thanks again, Kevin, for coming on. I don't want to keep you from your workout tonight. We wish you the best and recovery with everything that's going on and in PT, and we're definitely going to be looking out for you. I know lots of the guys watching this are going to be checking out your sauce now that they know that it's going to be hitting some of the stores near them. We'll be watching out for you. Yeah.
Anyone sees it, if you see in your local store near you, please just share. You know, it means the world to me. Like I said, I really owe a lot of thanks to a lot of different people, even though like I've done a lot, you know, myself. If it wasn't for support from friends and friends of friends, honestly, the road that I'm going down would be significantly harder. So I do appreciate, you know, from the bottom of my heart, anyone that ever goes out, supports. I mean, they don't even have to buy it. Just anyone that even takes a picture, lets other people know. I mean, that alone is, you know, appreciated. So.
Thank you again, Kevin, for coming on, and it was definitely awesome. Thanks again, and everybody go get Sauce Bay. It's delicious. Everybody again that I've ever showed it to has loved it. So
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Just stick around. But I'm going to end the broadcast now, but stick around and we'll just want to chat with you for a little bit.
All right, sounds
There
good.
you go.